3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum, and today we're going down truly exotic military aircraft lane with the Bartini, the Beriev, the VVA-14. Now, the -14 is something of science fiction, and I want to, we're going to talk about that, but first, this airplane moves so fast that if it had been built in any numbers for the United States, there would have been a new sheriff in town. Did you like that tie-in, Jason? There we go.
Listen, prepare yourself to be inundated with people applying for this in this case. But, oh, there we go. Look at that. Looking the part as well.
Look at that. I'll give that to the kids for the education program. Now, the -14 was something unique, so unique that I don't have a model, so you're going to see me move my hands around and try to be animated, but Greg can go ahead and throw up in the post a plan view of the Beriev, the VVA-14, so Greg, go ahead and do that. And it was designed by Robert Bartini. Now, the idea, he was kind of a mad scientist, designer of sorts, but if you remember those old TV shows where they had the marionettes and they would have the ships that lifted off and rockets and all that other stuff, this is the real deal. What this thing was, it was really kind of thought about in the 1960s. And the thought was vertical takeoff and landing aircraft we've touched on some of them, were being heavily tested, but none of them could really reach their peak potential. So think about this. What if you could have something that went, let's just say 600 miles an hour, maybe subsonic, could land anywhere and could take off and land vertically on almost any surface, and you would have the -14. Now, the thought was you'd have this big platform. It could carry anti-submarine warfare gear in it, including a magnetic anomaly detection device for all you folks out there. And it was so fast that the United States had fielded the Polaris submarine at that time. And if you could have something that could come up on and attack these Polaris submarines very quickly and go anywhere in the world without much notice and didn't need an airfield, and how many times have we talked about other airplanes that had the same idea, that's where you would get into the -14. Now, the thing about it was, how did they do all this? Well, they initially tested a thing called the BE-1, which was a tech demonstrator, but they were trying to come up with this aircraft also used ground effect. So in layman's terms, the closer you get to the ground, you compress that air in there. And Greg, if you in post can come up with a graphic, and what happens is the closer you get, you actually generate lift. And I'm way oversimplifying it, but that's the idea of ground effect on an airplane. And if you could have this airplane, I'm using the term loosely, use ground effect to move across the surface of the water, or anything for that matter, and then inside of it you had these lift, let's say these repulsor engines that would lift it up. Remember, this thing in his design was to fly up to 33,000 feet. So it was not just a cool hydrofoil or something like that. And it on paper it really worked, and the demonstrator it worked, and the Soviets were so excited about it at this point. Remember, we've got the Cold War going on. Both sides are looking for advantage, and the Soviets went, well, if I can go after these submarines and have a tactical advantage, especially in the Pacific, this is a really, really cool idea. So they told Bartini, hey, get out there and get your ground effect on. And that was where the VVA-14 happened. Now, the payload on it was about 2 tons of weapons. So it had an amazing payload. And today, my salute really is to Robert Bartini. The reason I want to salute him is not only did he come up with this aircraft, which there were 2 built, and it worked for the most part. There were some things that didn't, but the concept worked. The ground effect concept worked. He had an even bigger idea, and this is where you're talking about science fiction, where you could have an aircraft carrier or a carrier of fighter jets that was big enough to hold these fighter jets. Remember, we were talking about the Goblin not too long ago. Soviets are doing the same thing, but this thing skimmed along at 500 miles an hour on the sea. Think about what that would have done for the Soviet Union and given him a tremendous advantage at that time. Now, Bartini never lived up to his potential from a standpoint of he passed away, and his vision was an overreach on the technology, which I'll talk about here in a second. But I want to salute him because he really was a visionary. It's too bad that he was on the wrong side from a standpoint, and I say from the United States, because we're in the United States, but it's too bad that he was on the Soviet side. But the guy was a really revolutionary designer. And with that, I am going to salute him with Red Ribbon SodaWorks Grape Supreme. Oh, grape. When you were a kid, or you probably didn't do this, strawberry? Did you ever strawberry soda? No, I didn't think so. Jason is not well traveled. Made with cane sugar, pure cane sugar mafia. Does have a California redemption. Oh, and there is a little bit of a fizz there. So to good old Robert Bartini and your action adventure designs, I'm going to call them, I salute you.
Come with the grape soda.
You know what, Jason, that's not bad. I have a bad feeling. It tastes too good it's probably got 1 million calories and I can't find it, but we'll go one more.
Hello. Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
So the first flight of this thing was in 1972. You got to remember, this aircraft weighed 57 tons. There were 2 of them built, one of which was more of a technology demonstrator. The other one was actually supposed to carry weapons, and the project kind of ran out of gas, so to speak, in 1987. Now, the pontoons that I was talking about, initially it was supposed to have inflatable pontoons that it could inflate, and as I understand it, that was to come off of the engine. In other words, they were to be compressed off the engines. What ended up happening is that just didn't work. So they fitted it with rigid pontoons, and that actually allowed them to test the concept. Now, the other problem was this aircraft never lived up to its vertical takeoff and landing potential, and that was because the engines, there were 12 RD-36-35 PR engines for you Soviet aficionados, never lived up to their thrust potential, and so the aircraft could never be tested in a vertical takeoff and landing mode. But they did test a ground effect concept, and that worked. It actually completely worked. And so that's why I'm saying his design, his ideas were just too far ahead of the available technology. The aircraft was retired in 1987. Both of them are retired. One was lost, I believe, and the other one was actually damaged on its way to a museum. It sits in a museum to this day in very, very poor state. But what an amazing idea that this was. Sad state of affairs is, and this will give you an idea how little used this was. And this is a hallmark of a lot of the aircraft that we talk about in this particular series. It had 103 flight hours, Jason. For all of that work, it was barely broken in, and then it went into history and ultimately ended up, one of them ended up as a wreck in a Russian museum. And that, the VVA-14 moved into history. Now, if you want to talk about, look at this. These are, Jason, you're really getting with it. This is pretty cool. Look at this. It's got all these little mighty machines. Some of them actually, one of them actually even looks kind of like the Beriev in there. You can get this. This is the Mixer Match aircraft, micro aircraft. Click on that link. Jason will happily build these for you. He won't, but he'll get this for you and send it out to you via the link. So if you have one of those kiddos that needs one of these things, you need to get that. Click on the link. We cannot do all of this fun stuff at the museum without your donations. Click on that donation link. We can use a few bucks. If you came across us on YouTube, give us a like and a comment. We appreciate that. We always appreciate the comments about aircraft and your ideas. If you came across us with Facebook, again, give us a like and a comment. Put us out to your friends. But it helps the channel grow. The same thing on Instagram. And also, if you're educating those kiddos at home, the links in the description are for our educator guides. They are free. So click on those and get yourself a free educator guide. You can teach one lesson or an entire course. And we want you to have those to teach the kids at home. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Rise to the blessed day. All my fears have gone away. I guess this means I'm here to stay. Yeah, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Wasn't long ago I shook at the thought of being hooked. But ever since I wrote my book, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly.
Come along and join us, we can plug you in a simulator. We'll teach you how to dance and be the perfect imitator. We'll give away all your music to the operator. We were born with a light to shine, and we can do it in our lifetime. And when we get the balance right, oh, we're riding on the satellite.
The satellite.
We're here also.
I was watching down the